Milliseconds since epoch. If you ever work with dates or time in programming languages, you probably heard of this term, milliseconds since epoch, or it could be even seconds since epoch. So it's just a way to measure time. It's a reference point. To explain this in simple terms, the term reference point, I'd like to give this example of birth dates. So whenever someone asks you, how old are you? You give them an answer, right? And you calculate a number and you give them that number. But how do you calculate that number? And you're actually using a reference point in your brain. And the reference point there is the day you were born, right? When you're calculating that number, you just use your birth date as the reference point, and you'd like to find out how much time has passed since you were born, right? Your birth date, current time. So to give some examples here, let's say someone was born in September 10, 1998. We'll leave the time as it is. I would like to know how old this person is, who was born in September 10th of September 1998. That's calculates, and it's 25 years, 6 months. Okay. And the reference point here is September 10th, 1998, which is the birth date of the person. Okay. And in our example, our reference point is going to be 1st of January 1970. Okay, this is just an accepted day. Like it could even be 1965, 1968, but we just accept this. This is the set time that we use as reference point in when we say epoch. It also goes under the name of Unix time. Okay, if you see Unix time, you can you'll know that it's the epoch, milliseconds or seconds since epoch. Okay, so I'd like to write some code to demonstrate what I just explained. This is a simple TypeScript file, and you can think of it as JavaScript as well, because it will be converted to JavaScript at the end. And what I explained to you does not depend on JavaScript, TypeScript, anything. You can write this in any programming language. And let's just start. I'd like to give quick, simple examples. Let's try to create a date. Okay, in JavaScript, new date. And in JavaScript, when you create a date like this using this default constructor, this date will point to that moment, that exact moment. Okay, so let's try to print it, and let's just print it the way it is. Okay, I'm gonna run the code now. Node index.ts. Yeah, we have a date here, and it's really human readable. Humans can read this easily. 2024 is the year. 04 is the month, which is April. 06 is the day of the month. Okay. And this is 22:58. This is the time of the day. Okay. So this is a human readable way to represent time, but what I want to show you is how we can get the milliseconds since epoch representation of this. And the way to do that is just call get date. And this is specific to JavaScript, but you can achieve this on any program. You should be able to achieve this on any programming language. So when we call get time on a date instance, we should get milliseconds since epoch. Let's try it. Yeah, there we go. So this is milliseconds that has passed since epoch, and epoch is January 1st, 1970. Okay, January 1st, 1970, and it's also 0, the time, of course. The time of the day is 00, and it's UTC. The time zone also matters, but no need to get into these details now. Okay, this is the epoch. Okay, we found it in milliseconds, but we should also be able to find it in seconds, just seconds. And to do that, we can just divide this milliseconds into 1000 and we're gonna get seconds. So let's do it here. Now divide it into 1000. And this is, let's do it like this, not now, but now that get time, because this is the milliseconds representation anyway. Let's say seconds since epoch, right? Okay, format our code and seconds since epoch. I like to write it here just to see it, get time. And this is milliseconds, since epoch. Okay, just replace this. Okay, let's just log it. Log these. I want to log first in milliseconds. Milli. Compiler's helping me. Also the seconds since epoch. Nice. Okay, let's run this and see what we get. Okay, so this is milliseconds since epoch, and this is seconds since epoch, but we have a fraction, but it doesn't make sense. These values should be integers. Okay, we don't care about the fraction here. So we need whole numbers, and to get rid of the fraction, we can always floor it. We can use the handy floor function of the math class in JavaScript. So let's floor it, math.floor, okay? And I'm gonna floor, yeah, seconds since epoch, and cons, it will be floored, okay? Let's log this as well. Thank you, Copilot. Nice. Let's run it again. And there we go. We got rid of the fraction, okay? Now this is the milliseconds since epoch again, and this is seconds since epoch, okay? I'd like to show you a website which I use in my daily work when I work with dates, or when I work with epoch, since epoch representation. So let's refresh the page. Yeah. So we got the epoch, current epoch time here, and this is in seconds, and you can how do I say it's in seconds? Because it's shorter, it's smaller, it's just intuitively, okay. And this is in seconds, and you can convert timestamp to human date, human readable date, and vice versa in this website. I think it's quite helpful. I use this when for example, I make a query to a API, REST API, and I get a result, and the time is represented as seconds since epoch. Okay, and I want to confirm that the time is correct. So when I see this as a human, I can't understand. I can't just tell when this is, because it's not easy. You can't do it. You just need to convert it to a human readable date. And to do that, I use this website. I think it's really helpful. You can enter a human date here and get the timestamp. Let's say change the year, change it to February, keep it as 6, human date timestamp. So there we go, we got it. This is the second since epoch representation of February 6, 2023. Okay. And as the one last thing, I'd like to make a fun example here. So we said that epoch is January 1st, 2024, right? January 1st, 1970. Okay. So that's the epoch. Okay, then January 2nd, 1970 is also a day which we should be able to represent with this epoch, right? So what would it be? Can you guess? January 1st is the epoch. What about January 2nd? So what would be the representation of January 2nd? So it's one day later, right? So we should just find how many seconds there are in a day, and also make this calculation with date, with epoch, and just compare what we get. So let's try to do it. So how many? We have 24 hours in a day, and each hour, an hour has 60 minutes, and a minute has 60 seconds. Okay, this is one day in seconds. Okay, and let's just log it, see what we get. We can remove these, keep the epoch comment. Let's see what we get. We get 86,400. Okay, and let's calculate it using date, using epoch. Okay, let's create a new date, but this date we like to represent January 2nd, so it will be 1971, the year, and the day, the month, the day, and that's all. Okay, you can create a date with this time, like use this human readable time. You can provide to date in the constructor, and you'll get a date instance. Okay, let's say January 2nd, 1970. Okay, and I want to get the milliseconds representation of this first. Get time, Jan 2nd in 1970 in milliseconds. Okay, let's log this to see if we're on the right track. Okay, run it. Yeah, we got it, but this is in milliseconds. Okay, let's convert it to seconds. And we already seen it. We already seen how I'm doing it. So epoch, and we'll just divide it into, compiler already gave us the code. Epoch and Jan 2nd in seconds since epoch, right? And we should always floor it, but in this example it's not going to be necessary, but we can't know if it's necessary or not, so we should always floor it. I floored it. Okay, let's log this, and we should get the same result. And I want to call this float. Jan 2nd float, and have us, yeah, very good. Okay, let's run it. Yeah, we got, how many seconds are there in a day? 86,400. And this number should be how many seconds has passed since epoch. Okay, because we are one day later. We're trying to calculate one day later, later epoch. And here, January 2nd, 1970, in seconds since epoch, we got the same result. And yeah, this makes sense. This is how it should have been. And we confirmed that the date implementation in JavaScript is Correct, but this is just a fun example. Okay, so that's milliseconds since epoch or seconds since epoch.